I hope so. Okay, everybody of you will be in perfect health. All of you can see our today's topic, errors in the use of tenses, on the screens. I would like to start today's lecture by asserting a news to you people that this is one of the very important topics for all three formats of ETA, FUNG, and MDCAT. So without any discrimination, all of these entry tests pick a couple of MCQs, a couple of questions from this topic. So we shall, in complete detail, talk about these important rules written on the screen. So starting with the first rule, without wasting time, the changed form of a verb that indicate time of the action are called tenses of the verb. The general understanding for you people, the changed form of a verb that indicate time of the action are called tenses of the verb, right? Now let's move towards the first rule. When the verb in the principal clause here means independent clause or coordinative clause, fine, is in the past tense, the verbs of the subordinate clause should be in the past tense. Now, this is the basic and general rule on which we shall, after studying this rule, we shall talk about a couple of exceptions too. So, because this is the general rule that in one sentence, if we are writing two clauses, and in those two clauses, one of them is independent or principal clause, other one is maybe subordinate clause. So the general rule says that we are supposed to use the same tenses in both of the clauses, and this thing we are already aware of. Fine, for example, I say he said that he had finished his work. Fine. Now in this sentence you can see that this he said is a principal clause, and this that he had finished his work is subordinate clause. But you can see that in both of the clauses I have used same tense, that is past, right? This said also belongs to past, and this one also belongs to past, right, according to the general rule. And look at the following example. I was informed, past, that her mother was ill, past. I mean, I can't write here is the mother is ill. Well, why? Because I have already written here the past tense. Fine. Okay, now look at the second rule. But a past tense in the principal clause may or may not be followed by the past tense in the subordinate clause if the latter expresses universal or habitual truth. Got my point? Right? After learning that the general rule says in both of the clauses we are supposed to use the same tenses, now we are moving towards a lot of exception, and the first exception elucidates that we shall not use past tense even we have past tense in principal clause when we are having universal or habitual truth. We shall talk about both of them turn by turn. For example, look at the first example. The teacher said that earth revolves around the sun. Fine. Now in the basic clause, that is principal clause, we can see that we have used past tense, said past tense, but in subordinate clause that starts from that this word that the earth revolves around the sun, I have used the present tense. Why? Because this clause belongs to the universal truth that I talked about in this rule. Fine. Now, look at this. My brother told me that smoking is injurious to health. Fine. Once again, this is told. This is told. So, because of this told, we should have written here past what? But we didn't do it because this is once again something universal. So, this exception is worth studying because in general rule we have already said that in both of the clauses tense belong to the same category. Fine. Okay, let's see another exception in rule number 3. Look at this. Any tense may be used in the subordinate clause if it gives a comparison by using the word than, right? Reread the rule and try to understand. Any tense may be used in the subordinate clause if it gives a comparison by using the word than. For example, he respected you more than he respects his uncle. All right. Once again, you can witness that this respects belong to present tense, unlike this respected, isn't it? Now, both of them are different from each other. The first one is past tense and the latter one is the present tense. But here, what is the rule? Rule is neither that we are coming across here the universal truth. This is not the universal truth. So, a new rule is being introduced to you people, that if we are having expression like than and we are comparing the thing just like this example in this structure, so we have privilege to use any tense in that particular clause, subordinate clause, right? Now, he respected you more than he respects his uncle will not be wrong, it will be altogether correct. Now, look at the following example. The teacher liked Ali better than he liked me. Now you can see in both of the clauses, I have used past tense. Look at this liked, past. Look at this liked, also past. So both of them belong to past tense. Why? Because in rule we have already studied that we have privilege to use any of the tenses, any of them, right? It can be past, it can be present. Reread the rule. Any tense may be used in the subordinate clause if it any when we say any tense mean any tense, right? Respected could be correct, but if we are having respect, it is also correct. So we shall not mess with it. We shall just move on. So the next example, he liked me, fine. Any, when we say any because of this then, so we can say that okay, it is also correct. Let's uh, do not waste further time here and move towards the fourth rule. Okay. Now, what is the fourth rule? Any tense can be used when subordinate clause is in a quotation. This is the third exception. Fine. First rule was general rule. Then we studied two exception, and now we are discussing the third one. Okay. She said we okay, she said he will go to Skardu tomorrow, right? Now here we are using future tense. We could have used here maybe past, maybe present, maybe past perfect. It totally depends upon you people. I mean, nobody can challenge the grammatical correction or incorrection of this sentence. Why? Because it is in inverted comma or it is in quotation. कोटेशन मार्क्स में जो भी सेंटेंस होता है वो बाहर वाले पार्ट से आई मीन इट हैज नो रिलेशन विथ द reporting speech. Reporting speech tense is nothing to do with the tense of reported speech. This is the general thing that we already know, but I'm just giving you a reminder that it also comes under an exception when it comes to correction of the verb, right? You can also see the following example. I said, I'm going to Lahore today. Now, in this clause, you can see the tense is progressive, right? Present progressive, present continuous. That does not match with the reporting speech past, but still it is correct. Why? Because it is in inverted comma. So, what is conclusion in this rule? The conclusion assert that nobody can challenge the tense in inverted comma until it is in inverted comma. Even reporting speech is nothing to do with the tense of that part. Fine. Okay. Now come to the rule number 5th. The present perfect tense. Fine. What tense? The present perfect tense. Subject plus has or have plus verb third form cannot be used when an expression of past time. It is very important that sometimes students forget very basic rule that we cannot use present perfect tense with these expressions. For example, yesterday, last night, ago, last day, last month, last year, etc. There are many expressions. These are just basics to give you an idea that such words are indicator that these words belong to the past tense, past indefinite. We cannot write them in within present perfect tense, especially because a mistake usually made with present perfect tense. For example, look at this. We wrote to you yesterday about his mother. Now this yesterday is an indicator, fine, that we cannot write here present perfect. For example, what can be the possible mistake? The possible mistake can be, we have written to you yesterday about his mother. All right, so we have no authority to write here present perfect until or unless we are having the word yesterday, or maybe last night, or maybe ago, or any other word like them. For example, last week, last month, last year, previous night, previous day, any word like them. Fine. We can't write present perfect. Even we can't write past perfect. Not only present perfect is mistaken part, also past perfect. Uh, for example, look at this sentence. If I write here, I had finished my letter last night. Even this is incorrect. And I would like to tell you, even this is more dangerous. I had finished my letter last night, because students usually think that there is no problem in this sentence. I had finished my letter last night because it is grammatically correct. Yes, it may be grammatically correct, but let me tell you one thing very clearly, and that must not be forgotten by you in the future, that we can never use past perfect without having another past tense, right? I repeat, you people, anybody cannot use past perfect tense without having another past tense in that particular sentence, right? For example, in this sentence, you can see that we have only one tense, past perfect. I had finished my letter last night. If, for example, I extend this sentence by adding another clause in it, and in that clause there should be another past tense, then possibly it could be right. But right now, in this scenario, in this context, it isn't right. Fine. Now, in following examples, in following rule, you will learn this rule once again in detail. So far, let's put a semicolon here so that we can pull it in a while. Meanwhile, I shall show you the sixth rule that says, in conditional sentences, the subordinate clause beginning with if is generally in present of past tense, but not in future tense, right? Acha, for example, if I will go to Multan, I shall see the red fort. Now, with if clause, we never use future tense. This is the point here. We can either use present or past. Both are acceptable according to the context, but no context is there which tells you that future tense is acceptable with if clause. Though in many if Pakistani newspaper you will study, they reporters, journalists use future tense with if clause, but they are not right according to the British English. British English unfolds that we can never use future tense with if clause. This is very important point. Uh, Look at the upcoming example, that is correction of this one. If I go to Lahore, I shall see the Lahore fort. All right. Now you can see that we use here present. That is okay, because this is first conditional. By the way, I will teach you conditional in upcoming lectures in detail. This rule is related to conditional, but it is also related to this one, that is the tense part. So that is why I was telling you here too. Look at this one. If he had worked hard, he would have passed. Now this is third conditional. This sentence is third conditional. So had plus third form of verb is followed by independent clause, would have plus third form. I will teach you people this thing in detail when we shall study conditionals, four conditionals. All right. Okay, now rule number 7th. With the phrase as if, as though, past tense and plural form of the verb should be used. Now, two things are important and essential. The first thing is it should be past tense, right? For example, if it is be form, it should be was or were maybe, right? If it is, uh, be form, but it cannot be was because there is an other condition that is plural form. So it means if it is be form, then it should always be were, right? According to this rule, if we are, having as if or as though, you should take care of this thing that it should be in past tense and it should be in its plural form. Okay, let's see this example. He behaves as if. Now you see as if here, that we just studied in above rule, as if. Now look at this, the following expression: he were a millionaire. Now conventionally speaking, we were not right. I mean, were does not make an agreement with singular third person pronoun he. It should be was here. But why did I put were here? According to the rule, in the presence of these two expressions, I am compelled to follow the rule and I am putting here plural form instead of singular. That seems correct, but as a matter of fact, it is not correct. Okay. So now let's read rule number 8. This is important rule, I would say. Past perfect tense, yani subject plus had plus third form of verb is used when a sentence refers to two past actions and one of them occurs earlier than other. This is high frequency rule. It must be in your mind all the time. Okay, let me explain it. Look at this sentence. When my uncle came to India, I had passed my exam. Now you can see that, I mean, the basic rule, everybody is understanding that in this sentence, both of the clauses should be in past tense. That is, pre-qualification. That is being fulfilled here. But the next qualification is, now, if we are having two past tenses in same sentence in different clauses, should they be in equal past? I mean, there are 4 categories of past two: past indefinite, past continuous, past perfect, past perfect continuous. For example, can I write here, if we have written here, when my uncle came to India, everybody knows that this is past indefinite, right? And look at this independent clause, I had passed my exam. And everybody also knows that this is past perfect. Both of them belong to different past category. Let me tell you that in general sense I'm telling you, and it is also in often cases, most of the time, whenever you are using two past tenses in one sentence in different clauses, they should be in different past tenses. For example, if we are using here past simple, we cannot use past simple in independent part. We cannot. I cannot write here, I passed my exam. When my uncle came to India, I passed my exam. No, that would, that would imply that both of the actions are being performed simultaneously on same point of time. But it is not actually happening here, as we have already read this statement that assert that one action occur before another action, but both of them occur in past. Now, when my uncle came in the past, I had passed my exam. I also passed my exam in past, but passing my examination even happened even before coming of my uncle. Though both of these past actions happened in the past, but one of the past action happened even before other past action. That is passing of the exams. So this is the sense, right? Sometimes we use past progressive here, past continuous here. It depends on the context, past continuous. And there is an exception where we use past simple on both sides. Where we use past on both sides. That is, a very big exception. I'll let you know what is that exception. So far, you need to understand that what is this thing, that another past action, one past action, one is happening in earlier past, like fine. So okay, word like usually, generally, often, whenever, etc. are used in present indefinite tense. Yeah, why they are used in present indefinite? Let me introduce present indefinite. Well, present indefinite is used whenever you observe an action that happens frequently. Maybe it can be a habit of somebody, it can be routine of a geographical place. For example, I say it rains here often. Yeah, it often rains here. Now everybody knows that this is routine of this geographical location, so I'm using present indefinite. Fine. Okay, now uh, look at this. I usually go to play cricket, because it is habit of yours maybe. So we are using this word usually. That implies that it is habit of yours. So when you have determined that this is your habit, you cannot use any other tense except present indefinite. All right. Now look at the following example. I often laugh at him. Once again, this indicator often implies that this is this is what you are. This is your nature, your habit. So because you often laugh at him, so that is why you use present indefinite. All right. Now present indefinite always used with, along with such indicators. Not only these indicators, with such indicators, right? Okay. Now the rule number 8, in fact 10th, if the action began in the past and is still continuing in the present, this is very important to understand. That action starts in the past, but it is still happening. Now it is amalgam of two tenses. It should be amalgam of two tenses, because it is happening in past. It has happened in past, but it is still continuing in the present. So what should be the result? The present perfect tense. I mean present perfect continuous. So yeah, present perfect continuous. I missed a word, continuous here. Okay. Now look at the structure. Has have plus been plus ing. For example, I have been reading in the class for 2 months. For beginner, this is a big problem that, for example, if I remove this been and I also remove this have and I put am here, for him or her, it would not be a big problem if I say I am reading in the class for 2 months. It seems right. And as a matter of fact, even good students in a hurry misunderstand this and consider it correct, and they invest their time to figure out that which sentence is correct out of those four options that would be given in your test. So do not waste time. As soon as you see this am and also this for 2 months, consider it wrong, because both of them contradict with each other. For 2 months, that is a time period. Always make an agreement with the previous notion that I just removed, I have been or has been accordingly, right? Another thing that I would point out here, some student, when she had here, like for example, I write here, I had been reading in the class for 2 months. They think that, okay, it is also fine because had been is also time periods indicator and it is making an agreement for 2 months. Let me tell you, just like the previous rule where I told you people cannot use had plus third form in isolation until or unless we do have another past tense. Same is the case here. You cannot use you know had been with time period until or unless you have an other past tense extending this clause and making a longer sentence. Got my point? I had been reading in the class for 2 months. Now I am compelled to, to extend another clause at the tail of this sentence. Let me write in, let me make you understand. Okay. Now look at this sentence. I had been reading in the class for 2 months. Acha, 2 months hai. Okay. I thought that it is 2 hours. So I can change it after we shifted here. Now, I had been reading in the class for 2 months after we shifted here. Now we can see that there are two different past tenses. There is another past tense. So this is the basic of past tense, that in one sentence, if you are using two past tenses, they should be different. So this is the shaded part is past simple, and now it can be correct. This is past perfect continuous. Why are we using past perfect continuous here? Because of two reasons. The first reason is there is a time reference, right? 2 months. So we had to use past continuous tense. And the second reason is, why can't we use present perfect continuous? Because we have already here past simple. So because of these two reasons, we are using here had plus, been and then ing structure. I hope this concept is clear now. I thought I should share it with you people. So had been in isolation is not the correct choice. All right. Okay, we are left just with the last rule of today's discussion. I shall end this lecture then. Do not use the future or the present tense after such expressions as supposed, that, it is high time, it is time, as if. Now, for example, it is high time that you went home. It is time that we played football. Fine. In both of these examples, you can witness the past tense, that is past simple. So yes, we followed the rule, because rule says that we cannot use future either or not present. So it means if we can't use future, we can't use present, we are left with only choice, that is past. So we do use here past simple. Past form, any form that you feel is suitable can be correct. But if we change it, it is time that we play football. Yeah, you know, and now if we say if we play football, an ordinary student will think that because with principal clause we are having present tense here, so we shouldn't use past tense here. So we also use present tense here. No, because of these, expressions, as suppose that it is high time, it is so. These indicators help you people understand the correct sentence among four choices. All right. So this is all from my side today. Take care of yourself and your families. Allah Hafiz.